We are good to go. Well, welcome everybody to Flutter Workshop. Thank you for joining us today. Just a quick introduction. My name is Yasmin and I'm in my 3rd/4th year of electrical and biomedical engineering. I'll pass it over to project devs as well to introduce themselves.
Okay. My name is Smitha. I'm in my 5th year of biomedical and elect eng. So yeah, pass it to you.
And my name is Eamon. I'm in my 2nd year of software engineering, and we'll be going to my 3rd after the end of this fall. Or right now, winter. Wait, whatever, spring. Okay, here we go. Agenda.
Thank you. Just a quick rundown of the agenda. Hopefully everyone has had a chance to go through the installation process and the setup. During the workshop, we're going to be going over what is Flutter, why use Flutter, so like what's the importance of using Flutter and why we're doing a workshop on it. A little bit of an overview of Flutter architecture, as well as a few demos sprinkled throughout the presentation for you to apply the theory that we talk about. So what is Flutter? It's a mobile UI for creating apps for both Android and iOS systems. The nice thing about Flutter is that it's one code base for both operating systems. Now, what does that really mean? What it really means is that oftentimes when you're using other applications to create an app, oftentimes you have to write separate codes, one for Android systems and one for Apple system. But the nice thing about Flutter is that you can write one code and it will work on both operating systems. So honestly, it just saves you time. It's half the work. And then the last thing that you probably should know about Flutter is that it uses Dart as a programming language. It's okay if you don't know Dart. Honestly, when I first started out and started learning about Flutter, I had no idea what Dart was. But as long as you have some programming knowledge of any language, the basics still hold. So you'll be able to easily transfer that knowledge to Dart.
It's very similar to C++ or Python. It's like a combination of both.
So why use Flutter? Again, it uses one code base, which makes your life so much easier. It has great documentation and guides. If you're ever stuck, you can search up on Google and be like, oh, Flutter, make this app. And also on YouTube, a lot of people like to just record themselves doing apps and building apps in Flutter to help people who are beginning to show some interest in Flutter. It also integrates with Firebase. For those of you that don't know, Firebase is an online database that's usually used as a backend for application services. For example, if let's say you're making an application that uses some sort of sensor telemetry, what you can do is you can program your microcontroller with the sensors to record the sensor telemetry and then send it over to the database for it to store it, and then your application can retrieve that information from Firebase and incorporate it into the application. That's also very nice about it. It's an open source framework and it's flexible to allow the users to customize their design however they wish. So apps that currently are made with Flutter, we have Pairing, Meave, N8, there's Topline, Music Tutor. I think probably the most important one on there is Google Ads. So that tells you how important Flutter is, as well as the Singapore bus tracker system. So how does Flutter operate? The way Flutter operates is using a combination of widgets. And you can think of widgets as like boxes or some sort of containers that hold things in them. Now, there's a few types of common widgets that Flutter uses, and you will see us use and we'll show you the basics of, such as text widgets. As the name suggests, text widgets will hold text inside of them. There is button widgets, which will basically give you a button in your app. There's row widgets and column widgets, depending if you want to organize your whatever you want to put in that container, if you want to organize it in row or column, and then image widget will just hold an image inside of it.
We'll be going into more detail later.
So our scaffolding widget, it's basically a big wrapper that holds other widgets inside of it. Now, for example, we've got the app bar that counts as a scaffold widget. We have got the body and a floating action button. Now, if you go can you go to the next slide? We've got a text style widget, and this allows you, like I said, it will hold your text as well as allow you to customize it. Remember, that's one of the nice things about Flutter is that it lets you customize your design to however you want. So you can change things about your fonts, about your text, such as font size. If you want to make something bold or italicized, you can do that. Letter spacing, so how far apart you want your letter to be, color, as well as the font style itself. Now, if you take a look in the top right, I think this is the right, I always mix up my directions, top right of the screen, there's a little example. So there we've decided our font size to be 20. Our font weight, we want it to be bold in this case, and then the spacing to be 2. And then the color in this case, we chose for it to be on a scale of gray for about 600. And the bottom one is if you want to add a family font or a family of fonts, like let's say that Flutter doesn't already have it, you can add those and include those files into your assets. All right, so how does Flutter operate? Remember how I said usually you have parent widgets, and then those parent widgets have other widgets inside of them that hold other things. An example of this is we can think of a scaffold widget from the earlier example. So the scaffold widget in this case, you can think of it as the entire screen of our virtual phone that you see on the right side of the slide. And then we have multiple widgets inside of that. In this case, we have an app bar widget, which is represented by the orange rectangle. And inside that app bar widget, there's another widget, and that's called the text widget. And that's the widget that will help us add the app title. Now, if we go back to the other side of our tree, you want to mute yourself, Aaron?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. And go back in the slides. You skipped one. Okay. And then on the other side, we have a container widget, and that's your yellow rectangle. And inside that, there's another text widget. And now in this case, on the example on the screen, it has the text information about your app. And I'll pass it over to Eamon to do a scaffolding and app bar demo.
Well, can you guys hear me? I don't know if my mic is muted or not. Okay, nice.
Yes.
So I'm going to start from making a new file just in general. So I'm going to go new window. So what you want to do is you want to go here. And then one way you can open a folder. One way you can do it is you can go here, you go here. Let's say you go to your desired folder that you want to create the project in. So I'm going to make something right here. I'm going to delete this now. Call it Flutter. Folder. Now to open terminal, you can either click the macro Control Shift button under Escape, or you can open here and then click on New Terminal. And then you can see you're in the directory of the folder that you just opened. So now what you're going to do is you're going to write Flutter create. And then when you're creating this file, it's going to be like the project file. You want to make sure that you don't use any capitals or numbers. So it's going to be and you should see a folder pop up here with all the necessary files. Okay. So now it tells you right here, in order to run your application, you must cd to workshop, which means you're basically right now, you're in the outside folder of the actual workshop itself. So what you want to do is you want to go inside the folder. So right now I'm inside the folder. And you can check that as well. If you click cd and then click tab, you'll see like a bunch of folders that you can open because now you're within the folder project. And then you want to write Flutter run. You can either run this on the emulator itself, which would be to my left, then I can open this right here. So this is the emulator. Don't worry, it's giving me an error right now, but that was from before. I'm just messing around. So you can either use the emulator or you can use Google or Microsoft Edge. Right now it's going to run for a little bit because it's my first time running it. Afterwards, it'll be like a lot faster. While it's running, I'll explain something. So inside our lib folder is our main.dart file. And this is essentially the file that has all the content of our app. Eventually, you'll make a bunch of Dart files, and then you'll jump from one Dart file to another using buttons or other types of UI. Also, there's the pubspec.yaml file. That's real quick. I think I'll be using this later to show you guys how to add a background to Flutter and your app as well. But I just want to let you guys know that I'll be using these two files today. Now I think it should be good. It says built. If I go back over here, you see that I have a Flutter demo homepage with you have pushed this button that many times. If I click on this, the button number should increase. Now, what I want to do is delete everything inside of here because I do not want to do this. I want to start from the beginning so you guys actually understand how and what we're doing. So I'm going to go here. Let's see how much I want to do. This is a lot of comments, which is pretty useful for you guys. Like if you guys don't know what some of the widgets do, they're kind of useful. But again, we're going to go over them as well. So here I'm deleting the stateful widget, which I'll explain what it is later. And then I'm going to delete this counter. This is a function similar to if you ever wrote in a C++ file. It's a void update. Yeah, and there's also void start. That might be C# actually. Okay. Essentially, what I'm doing is I'm deleting everything except for the class. Right here. Switch it. It's just giving me error. Fine. Okay, so there's like a macro in Flutter where it's like if you write build, it shows you this build context kind of thing. So if you click on it, it should give you override, widget build, and throw unimplemented error. Does everyone get that? How many people are actually following along, by the way? If you guys can let me know.
You guys can use the reactions if you want, or if you can use the chat, that's also okay.
I'll give them time to answer. Okay, in the meantime, the first thing we're going to create is, as Yasmin mentioned before, it's a scaffold. Within the scaffold, we're going to add something called, actually, let's add the app bar first. The app bar, as you mentioned, is the top of the app. It's basically, you can say the title of the entire app. So I'm going to put like title in here. Also, you see here, I have a debug bar, which is really annoying and I hate it. So to remove that, you can go to your material app widget. And inside of this, you will add something called debug show checked mode banner. Set that to false. Forgot a comma somewhere. Oh, I didn't add. Or something. Basically, if you guys like look at here and like look at the structure of the entire thing, you can see that there's always a property and there's a widget. So within every widget, there's a property. And then within the property, there's also a widget. So here's the title, which is the property. Here's the text widget. Here's the app bar widget, app bar property. And then inside the app bar property, there's a widget, which is the app bar. And how Flutter is structured is we use commas to indicate that we're going on to the next element. So if you look here, you see the comma right here, which indicates that it's done. Goes on to the next one. I'm just gonna see what I'm getting when the exception was thrown. This. So we have two things called hot reload and hot restart. Hot reload restarts the app within its current state, while hot restart restarts the app entirely. I'll do something real quick. I'm getting an error with the build context thing. I think it's because of this unimplemented error. I don't usually do that. So I'm going to create a new file and restart from the beginning. Flutter create. Flutter Workshop. Open this, and then if you click on open folder, you can select the folder which has the files inside of it, which in this case is going to be GitHub, Flutter Workshop, Flutter Workshop. So, I'm just delete everything inside of this time, instead of deleting more. Last time I deleted too much. Okay. So here I have up to these. Also, I'm going to delete this function, and this counter, which basically counted how many times I clicked the button. Okay, so again, sorry for that. Now I'm going to create an app bar. And within this app bar, I'm going to have the app bar widget. And title. Yeah, I'm going to have the title widget. I'm just going to have the text widget. I'm just going to say hello world. As I said before, I'm going to go to the material app and stop the banner from being on the top right. So now this time the file will run. Any questions so far? Anything? Am I going too fast? Am I going too slow? Anyone having any issues?
Do you want to take a look?
Sorry?
You mind taking a look at the chat? There's an error.
Oh, there is. Let me see. I don't know how to open the chat. Chat. No. What does the error say? Like, what does it say?
No named parameter with the name title.
Seems like something I could expect. You can see the hello world right here. How do I open the chat? Chat, there it is. Error, no name parameter with the name title. Are you sure you're doing it within the app bar widget? So when you're doing it, it's within app bar, and then app bar with the 2 brackets. If you click control space, you should get like a bunch of these objects that you can put inside of it, or properties. Are you getting those as well, or no? The answer is that. So now I have a title, and then we have an app bar, and then we have a body. The body acts as the other part of the app itself. So like the body is this white space right here, as you can see. So I'm going to add a text to the body. Add a stack widget first. Basically what a stack widget allows you to do is add a bunch of widgets together. So usually you can only add one text widget within the body, but if you add the stack widget, you can have something called children, which allows many widgets to be placed inside of it. So if I put text right here, and then I put in the text, I say, well, again, and I want to see if it will load. I do every time I go to the command prompt. Every time I go to the command prompt, I'm clicking R, which is hot reload. And as I mentioned, it was like you're restarting the app at its current state, so it doesn't refresh the entire app. It's like if you ever closed the app on your iPhone or Android, you swiped up, the app is still open, and you can go back to it. So that's hot reload. But if you closed it completely and then opened it again, that's hot restart. You guys understand? You can see hi in the top left, right there. Also a widget called center. Center allows you to do is to, well, it puts the object inside the center. You have to add a child property to center to allocate text to center. So basically, like now center recognizes text as its child, so it will cause it to have the property to move to the center. Hopefully that wasn't complicated. It's fairly simple. The world is now in the center. And that concludes the demo. So let me go back to the presentation. Okay. So hot restart and hot reload. I was mentioning them before. So it reloads the app but saves the environment variables. And then there's hot reload feature, which helps you quickly experiment, build user interfaces, add features, fix bugs. Hot restart reloads the entire app, as mentioned. And then there's the image widget, which I could show right now, actually. And basically, it just allows you to add a image. I'll do it in the container demo. So it allows you to add an image to the app itself. So you can upload images from either online or from your local desktop. Network image is the one that allows you to upload images from online. Asset image is one that allows you to upload images from your local desktop. So if I downloaded something called background or something, and then I wanted to upload it, I could do that to my app. Okay. And there's the container widget, which is similar to just you're adding a box or a circle, just something to encapsulate elements within it. So the container widget helps contain all the widgets that you place inside of it, and it comes with properties like padding, margin, and color. I will also go over that later. So you can add basically a box or a circle. The container widget also helps us add a background to our app, which I will show later as well in the demo. you look at the right, you can see the container widget being used to hold a text widget, which is hello. You don't really see anything different from just adding the text widget because they didn't add any padding or anything different to it. Actually, no, you do see a little bit of a gray box because they added the color widget, that color property. And here you can see the entire screen is gray instead of white because they added a container. If you don't limit the size, it will just take up the entire screen. Okay. So now we have padding and margin, which is very similar to HTML or CSS padding and margin, if you guys ever used that before. So margin is the outside box of it. So like it's a burger, and the outside, the patty is the margin, and then the inside contents is the padding, and then let's say the meat of the burger itself is the element. So you can imagine like that, and then you can push out other elements from like left to right and all directions to help position your app properly. The function usually used when you're using padding and margin is edge insights. This is how you control the padding and margin. Okay, so now the container demo. Back here, I'm going to delete the text widget. I'm going to add a container. I'm going to add decoration. It's going to be called box decoration. And this, I'm going to add a image. This is going to be called asset image. This one's up. Decorated box. Then this I add the image. I'm going to add an image. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an image within this. So child. An asset image refers to an image that is from your local desktop. You can fixate the height and the width of the box itself for the container. Add width and height, which is going to be 100. R. I forgot something. Sometimes if you have extra brackets, it's going to give you an error, so make sure to delete them. See here, nothing happened because we don't have any color property. So like it's just adding a box, but you can't really see the box. So you have to add a color property. I'm going to say colors.blue. Usually when you add colors, you can add colors like hex colors. But if you're going to add hex colors, you have to do color. And then within this, you do 0xff. And then the hex color itself. So if I do like 000, I would have the hex color. If you added like if you want to just add like the color blue or just want to be very vague, you do colors.blue. You see I have a big blue box. I'm going to change that. You can see it properly. Now I'm going to add asset image. So I'm going to go to Google and find an image. I chose this one. I liked it. I click save image as. Usually what I like to do when I'm saving my image, I don't just throw it on my desktop or something. I go to the folder itself. I go inside of Flutter Workshop, go to Workshop. And what you want to do is you want to create a new folder. And you want to call it assets. One, this allows you to stay very organized in terms of the formatting of your file, unlike that itself. Go back to my VS Code. You should see a asset somewhere. Am I blind? Oh, I added it to the wrong workshop. Okay, I added it to the one before. Okay, it's fine. Let's make it again. I'm going to make an asset folder. You can also do this in VS Code as well. I'm going to drag this within here. If you go here and click on assets, you should see background. And it should display on your screen like this. What I usually like to do is I click on copy relative path, and then I just paste it in here. Let's see if this is going to work. Make sure to, okay, yeah, this is where we go to the pubsec YAML file. And in here is basically where you import all your fonts, your images, like dependencies and like useful tools. Like sometimes when you want to move from one Dart file to another, I imported something called get, which is in your pubsec.yaml. And also here, if you look here, you see like dependencies, you see Gurpredo icons. That's like a library that they added from online. So essentially it's how you add your libraries and stuff. Okay, so here, I'm gonna go to assets. They have like some ready registered. One useful tip is you can add the entire folder. So it recognizes the entire folder as images that you want to add. Okay. Sometimes it will give you an error still, even if you added it like correctly. Make sure to use hot restart if it does that. And now you can see my image right here. I'm gonna try to do what I did at the beginning, but hopefully not get an error this time. You see me like clicking Control Space a lot, which opens up a tab of features that you can use. It's really useful because like if you don't know what, let's say, border does, you go here, click on it, you hover over it, and you see what it does. That's pretty thick. Decoration, image, asset, image. This doesn't work on the search up because I think I forgot the order of how I structure it. Beauty of coding though. Usually you have to search up a lot. Okay, so decoration, box decoration, and then they add image, decoration, image. I forgot to add decoration image. That's the one widget that I forgot about. And then you do image, and then you add the image itself. So in this case, I'm going to replace this with background.png. And then boxfit.cover covers the entire screen. So now if I reload this, go here, you can see I have a perfect background, and now we are good.
All right, so our next demo is going to include some icons and buttons. So just a little bit of information. Hopefully everyone knows what an icon is. Icon is just basically some sort of symbol that you can add to your app. Now, icon is also considered a widget that you can add to the app, and you can specify the color of that icon, the size, and other things. If you can go to the next slide. We've got buttons. So if you guys remember, the first file that we created had a little click me button that just basically counted how many times you click the button. So the way you can create buttons is using the child class, and then from there you can specify the type of button you want. There's different types of buttons. There's buttons with like a nice border. There's ones that kind of float out of the page a little bit, gives you a little bit of a shadow effect. So it really lets you customize how you want your button. And then inside our buttons, we can add a text widget. So what happens in that text widget is whatever you put in it will appear inside the button itself. And again, you can use whatever color you want for the text and customize that. Now, what if you want to add both? So you want to have a button that has an icon as well as text. Eamon, can you go to the next slide? You can do this very easily, and I believe Smitha will show you this in a little bit. But basically, I don't know, I think everyone here has now been migrated to Outlook by now. If you guys sometimes recognize like the send button when you're trying to send an email, it has the word send in text, and then it has a little arrow. That arrow is an icon, and that text is just text. So that's a really nice example of how you can add a button with an icon and text. We're going to dive into a few examples. I'll pass it over to Smitha.
Okay.
Where's it?
Yeah, let me just share my screen. Can you guys see?
It said you started sharing, but I don't see anything yet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, I see it.
I see it now.
Okay, if I cut off, can you guys just tell me? And then if there's any questions, can you just tell me that too?
Yeah, I'll just unmute and tell you the question.
Okay, sweet. Okay, so today I'm gonna just teach you guys about icons and buttons. So let's start off. So first we're gonna go into the body text. So that's where like the button will be created. So like over here. So as you can see, there's the center widget. So that just like whatever you put within this thing, it just centers it within your body. So here I'm gonna put an icon because that's what we're gonna create. Okay. So in your icon, you can see all the different types of things you can have. So you can have your size, you can have your color, and you have to also specify what type of icon you want. So here, let's just do a mail icon. So icons.mail. Also, these are the different types of icons that you can get from your library. So we're going to just do icons.mail. And we can specify what color we want it. So we can do color, and we're going to say that it's black. And we can specify a size that we want the icon to be. So I'm just going to say that it's 50. Okay, so when we run this, as you can see that there's an icon that's a mail right here. Okay, now another thing that you could do is you could create an icon, but you can make it a button. And I'm going to do that right now. So, and it can have text inside it. So that's what we're going to do. If I'm going too fast, just let me know. So here I'm going to say elevated button. And then I'm just going to say dot icon. Okay. Now this gives me like a list of parameters that you must follow in order for this elevated button to work. So now on pressed, so this is like, so when you have a button, you have to press it. So, and then it'll give like a list of instructions. So for now, we're just gonna leave this blank. So just do like what I'm doing right now so that it'll look better. Now icon right here, it's saying that it requires a widget. So it's requiring an icon widget. So we're gonna do icons. Okay, And so now what type of icon do we want to make? So let's just make the same thing. So icons.mail just to keep it consistent. And then we can specify the color. We can just say it's black again. And let's specify the size as, let's just make it 50, so we can see it. Okay, now label is like, what do you want within the button, like the text, like what do you want it to be? So let's just make a text widget. Okay, and like, let's just say mail me. Okay, now let's try running this. As you can see here, you have your icon button that says mail me. Now, for like I said, that there's this on press button. So here, like when you press it, it's going to give you a type of response. So let's just say we want to say print. You just clicked me. Now, when you press it, it's gonna go on your console. So right here, it just shows you that I've clicked the button 4 times. And then for some reason, it's not right now doing it. Yeah, here, you just clicked me 6 times, like as you can see right there. Okay, now another thing that you can do is you can make a button that's like already like an icon. So let me try doing it right now. So you can make an icon button. So let's just do that right now. Okay. Now, like I said, there's like a list of parameters that it must have. So here is the on pressed. So we can just leave that blank. And then there's icon. So what type of icon do we want to specify? Icons dot, and let's just say, we can just change it up. We can do access alarm or AC unit. Okay. Oh, sorry, I have to make a widget. So that's the reason why this is giving me an error. And we can specify a color that we want it. So we can say that we want it yellow. We can specify a size to be 20. So like if you just like hover over this, like it will just show you all the different attributes that the icon widget contains. So just to let you guys know that again. And now, okay, I'm gonna change it to a different color because I can't see that. I'll just change it to purple. Yeah, so now you have a button that is an icon. Okay, now I think we're gonna talk about sorry. Okay, now we're going to talk about rows and columns. So when you look at your rows, you can have like multiple like different icons and buttons and like other like containers all together. And what happens is you can align it like horizontally, or you can align it vertically. So I'll show you how to do it and it'll make more sense. But essentially you're trying to make it look like this. So this is how a rows would be set up. So I'm gonna just show you a bit, and then after that you can like it'll make more sense. Okay, so okay, we're gonna just delete all of this. Okay, so first what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a row widget. And here, do you see how it says children right here? So what happens is that it allows you to put multiple different types of widgets within this children. So, so it's not a child anymore, so it's a children, so it's a multiple childs, right? So you can have different types of widgets and you can align them all within a row, so it can align this way. So let's just like put different types of widgets that we want. So like we said, I created an icon button, so we can do that one first. So icon, and let's say icons dot male, and we can say the color is black, and we can say the size is 50. Okay. Now, like another icon widget that we can create is the container, which Amy was talking about to you guys. So container, I'm not going to use that one. And so now the container can like have another child within it. So we can just say child, and we can create a text child to say container one. Okay, and then we can specify the color to be purple, let's just say. Okay, and let's just do like another one. Let's just say a button. Button. Oh wait, I want to have this padding size. Let's just add a padding. So that pads it all around. And that pads it all around by 20. You can say that. Okay, now elevated button. Let's create an elevated button as another one. Okay. And let's do on pressed. You can just leave that blank. We need to. And child, we'll say a text child saying click me. Now, within the row, you have to specify how you want it. So there's the main axis alignment and there's a cross axis alignment. I'll get more into it, but like, let me just write it down for you guys. And then, so main axis alignment, it needs a widget. This is the widget, and dot. Let's see, and now we have to create a cross axis alignment. You can just say center. Okay, I'm just gonna save this and run it.
If it doesn't run, add the S to Edge Insight.
Oh, say that again.
Go up, go. You just forgot to add the S there.
Oh, okay, thanks. Okay, so what happens here is that you have your row. So this is your row, and it like stacks it up within a row, and then you have your main axis alignment. So what happens in your main axis alignment? So your main axis is your row, right? So it's your X direction. So it's gonna show. So it's gonna shift it to the very end of this container right here. So this body. So like just say suppose we did start, right? And you were to run it, it will now shift to the very start of the body container. Now the cross axis alignment, So that's just going to be the opposite of your main axis alignment, where it's going to talk about like your shift in your y-axis of the row. So like say suppose we were to do end, right? What's going to happen here is it's going to take the largest widget and it's going to shift it to the very end of your largest widget, if that makes sense to you guys. So like if you were to do start as well, then it's just going to shift all of your icons to the top of your like largest widget on here. Okay, now there's the column widget. Now the column widget is going to stack it up like one on top of the other. And then there's the main axis alignment, which is going to be a vertical shift. So it's going to talk about the Y. It's going to be a shift in the Y. And the cross axis alignment is just the shift in the X direction of your column. So I'm just going to show you. So let's just change this. You don't have to like do anything. You can just change this to column. And you're going to just see that they're going to stack up one on top of the other. So here it stacks up one on top of the other. So then after that, you can say space evenly. Let's just say that. Now you're going to see that the icon is going to be spaced evenly along the y-axis. And then like say, suppose I were to do in the cross-axis alignment, I were to do end. Then of your largest widget, it will shift it in the X direction because it's your cross-axis alignment. It's like opposite of your main. So it's going to shift it up to your X direction of your column. So the largest widget, it will shift it to this side, if that makes more sense. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, also, you can create a row widget within your column widget. So like you just have to put it within children's, because since children requires a list of widgets, right? And row is a widget itself. So you can just say row. And like, let's just make something very simple. So we can just do text. And we can just say, hey. Oh, we have to say, sorry. This is to say children. And we can create a text that says, hey. I think this also have main axis alignment, that's why. Okay, wait, let me just do this again. Okay, and we can create different widgets. So we can just create a text one that says, hey, and we can take another one, container. Okay, no, I'm just gonna make this easier and just do another text widget. Just say bye. And let's run it.
You're missing a comma at the end of the row.
Oh.
That's it.
Oh, wait,
That's all
row.
it is.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Okay, so now what you see here is you have your hey and bye, and then your different like ones right here. It's not going to follow any of this because it's going to take into account the row widget. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm going to give it to Eamon to show what else you can do with flutters.
Okay. Doesn't that conclude our presentation? that concludes our presentation. If anyone has any questions or any concerns, please let me know right now.
Are you going to show the app?
Oh yeah, true. I was gonna show mine. You're right. Okay, let me show you guys what I did previously with Flutter. I might have to clone the project because I'm on a different computer. So I'll show that right now. But in the meantime, while I'm cloning it, does anyone have any questions? Anything they want to let me know, any issues that they're going on with or have? And you can make sure to unmute. I actually prefer it comment, to be honest. So I'm just cloning it. If you guys ever used GitHub before, it's really useful. You can like take an entire project, copy paste the link here. You're using Linux, you use SSH, but like you copy paste the link here and then you do git clone. And you can take all the files and clone them. So now if I go here, I open a folder and then go into GitHub. Select this folder. Save. And now I have all the files that I would have had if I like transferred over by USB, which is really useful because like I use it a lot, even at work I use it a lot as well. So now I do Flutter run. Sometimes like Flutter gives you these red bars or something. The first time you like open up a file or something, just do Flutter run and I think it just deletes itself. I don't know why it does it, but it does that. See, like now it's all good. Other page, get rid of that.
Can't you see your screen, by the way?
Wait, you can't?
You're not sharing it.
I'm so not used to this. Okay, my bad. There you go. Wait, why didn't no one tell me sooner? Okay, so I took it from my GitHub, I copy pasted this, and then I cloned it. Git clone, take the link. How many people actually here use GitHub before? Just curious. It's really useful and nice to use it. It's gonna take a while. Every time you run the Flutter project for the first time, it takes a bit. But after that, it should be like really quick. On this app, I made like a bunch of, see how many Dart files I had? I have so many Dart files because like each page you go onto is another Dart file. You can also make it that like one page has like a bunch of buttons at the end, which you transfer over to. If you know what I mean, like you click on the button at the end and it's the same page, it just shows a different visual. Forever to load it. Yeah, let me show you some of the things that I put inside of it. So like, usually you have like 200 lines or like 300 lines inside of a Flutter file when you're going like crazy on the UI. So like here I put the background. This honestly, instead of just doing an asset image, because I just put the color white, I could have just done this. Colors.white. This later when I was using it. It could like be more efficient. And then like here I put lessons. I'll show you the app itself once it loads. That's like a questionnaire type of thing. I want to talk more about like stateful and stateless. So like stateful is, if you ever used a C# file or like a file where it has like a void start and there's like a void update, you can imagine stateless to be what is it called? Stateless to be void start and then a void update to be stateful, which means like it updates periodically. So like if I click on the button, it registers that the button has been clicked, and that would be a void update. If it's a stateless widget where you put the class in, like here you see stateless widget, then it won't recognize that. This is taking so long. Any questions? You guys gotta tell me if I'm like, if it makes sense to you or not.
Must
Sorry. That's meaning you have to place it.
I was just gonna say it must be a big file for it to take this long.
I mean, like it's a bunch of Dart files, but I don't know why it's taking forever. Like it's taking forever. Oh, it might be because I was on my other computer. It's like a later version of Android.
Probably.
Like you can see the many things like on tap, get to. This is one of the libraries that I use. It helps you transfer over from Dart file to Dart file. I open my project.yaml file. You'll see here that I added get dot. You put this like power sign. I can call it. I don't know what to call it. And then you put the version of it, and then it imports it, and it has to download it. Then you can use it a bunch of times. I use like an inkwell to type a widget, which is like encapsulator. It's like a type of, it's like a container inside of a container. You can imagine that. And the width I put double infinity. Double infinity means it's just gonna take the entire screen. Alignment in the center. Actually, I probably want to show you guys alignment. You guys want to see it? Because there's a lot of cool widgets that we didn't cover due to time constraints that are also very useful. Yeah, sorry, it's taking a while, not because like the file is big, it's because it's downloading a bunch of stuff. Feels like it's an older version. They're both two hackathons that I did a long time ago. Actually, this one was really recent. Who actually here went to Hack the North? Or not Hack the North, Hack the... Yeah, it is Hack the North.
One hackathon I went to, that was the first time I used Flutter. Yeah, we were trying to create an app for like, I think it was a health routine or something, where someone puts in like amount of hours they got for sleep, how many cups of water they put in, and then the app will just calculate how much more they need to be like considered healthy. It was a bad idea, but
Did you guys finish? Because I feel like every hackathon, you say like something and then you're just like, when you're presenting it to the judge, you're just like, due to time constraints, we couldn't do that too. Yeah, like it's always like that.
well, funny enough, it was just me and my friend, and then two other people that we just grouped up with at the time because we didn't have enough people. Yeah, there was really bad group dynamics, so
Okay.
the project
Yeah,
didn't
like
get
good for people.
did not get finished.
Get it right again because the file took forever. Wait. Getting an error because I changed something. I'm trying to show an example. So if you guys are curious about how like I keep going between tabs like this, I can show you guys how to do that as well. It's pretty cool. especially for my fellow software engineers. Here you see it's built. It's taking a while. Now it's gotta load. There you go. Finally, that took so long. The file is just so big in terms of library, and also I'm using a really bad laptop. Okay, so if I click on login, it should show me to another page, and then here I have something called hid text. It's a type of widget where you can input text inside of it. So I go, also the text not capitalized. You can also set the password to be, if I go here and go to my login page, texts. And here you see fill color. You go inside of, it's called a text field. Inside a text field, you can have the text. Like I can put password inside of here. Like hello world. It'll show like hello world when I like before writing it. Essentially, it's like something you can see before you input it. And then you can also make it obscure text, which means like it'll show the dot instead of showing like actual letters when you're putting it in for the password, it shows just like dots. Okay, then here I click on computer setup. This was basically an app that helps old people or people don't know how to use computers, teaches them how to use computers. And so if I click here, I go to computer setup. You can see like here's a desktop screen. Here's a button, trackpad, keyboard, basic stuff. And then here at the end, this was the actual thing that like required me to think a lot more, which was what is not part of the laptop and like the questionnaire itself. Like if I click on this, I want to show that it's a red and it'll go to the next page if I'm wrong. And if I say what is the purpose of a keyboard, I say input text, give me a check mark, and that slides over to the next one. That's trackpad. Yeah, so I just implemented a bunch of like things inside of an app. I also have another app I can show, but due to like how long it's taking for the first one to load, I don't know if I want to show it. Yeah. Any questions?
All right. Thank you. I think that concludes our workshop. Please, before you leave, check out the chat. Jason has sent a little satisfaction survey, so please let us know what you thought about the workshop so that we can improve it for future years and future attendees. If you guys have any questions, you can feel free to stay behind and ask them. If not, this is the end. can't hold you hostage anymore. Thank you for everyone for taking time out of your day and attending our workshop. And thank you to Smitha and Eamon as well for putting the time and giving us these exemplary demos.